everyone to our third episode of Forks and Films. I'm your host, Jacqueline Strayer. Tonight we're going to be looking at the film Big and also making nachos to accompany that film. But let's take you back to the second episode when we watched the film Ratatouille and also made the signature dish from that film. Let's take a look at some of the social media posts that you sent us. First of all, one of you had to say that you always liked Anton Ego's words in the film, "Not everyone can be a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere." And then this philosopher went on to say, "A simple ratatouille can also be an unparalleled gourmet." So thanks to that person for posting that. The second one is from Linda Davies, and she tells us that she can't always get the ingredients in time, but finds our program fun, informative, and diverting. Thanks, Linda, and just so everyone knows, we do post the ingredients 2 weeks in advance, so we're hopeful that will give you enough time to purchase them in advance of our episode. Here's another one that got sent to us through the Cinema Arts Center information site. Thank you all for your efforts in putting this together. It was fun, and I've turned on a couple of friends to it. Their members, too, hadn't been aware of the program. I hope you are all well. Stay safe and cook on. So this was from Kata, and to Kata, because of these great photos and this wonderful post, we're going to award you a family pack of 4 tickets to the Cinema Arts Center when it reopens. And then our last post will receive the gift certificate to Butera's restaurant. This goes to Pepperoo, and take a look at these photos. Pepperoo had just incredible response and had over 18 likes just in the past day to these photos and this result. And it looks like we have a professional chef at work. So congratulations to Pepperoo for this wonderful result, and many thanks to all of you for posting over the last week. So with that, before I turn this over to Chef Martin, some of you may be asking, why are we making nachos for this film? Well, in the film, Tom Hanks goes to the annual company holiday party, and he approaches the hors d'oeuvre and appetizer table, and he doesn't quite know how to eat these appetizers because they were very adult. And so you'll see that in the film, and so what we'd like to do is actually have you make something that anybody can make and anybody can eat. So that's why we're making nachos, and Chef Martin has fantastic recipes in store for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Chef Martin, and good luck with your cooking, and we'll see all of you chefs in a little bit.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I'm glad everyone enjoyed Ratatouille and the dish. It was really nice, that dish. Today, we will be watching the movie Big, and that is a real favorite of mine. It doesn't have any particularly standout food segments, although there is that scene where Tom Hanks spits out the caviar, but I didn't want to make anything with caviar. It's really hard to source now. But we decided to do nachos for this week's episode. Now, nachos, quickly, are identified at a place of origin. There is a time when it was invented. Actually, 1943, a guy named Ignacio, short nickname is Nacho, worked in a hotel or restaurant. People were going in to get something to eat. They didn't have much left, so he kind of, at the moment, threw something together, fried some tortilla chips, put cheese on top, and pickled jalapenos, and there you were, nachos, 1943. Origin in Mexico, just on the other side of the Texas border. They are a Tex-Mex favorite. They became, more popular later on, and in the 70s, more national notoriety, and now we kind of, they're ubiquitous. They're all over. So let's get right to it. There are quite a few ingredients. Now, the ingredients list of nachos can be very simple. You can add in, take out. It's a very subjective thing. I'm going to be making a recipe that kind of has some of the items I like, and I'll substitute where I couldn't find things. First off, let's start. First thing we want to do is preheat our oven. Let that get hot, and I did that ahead of time. And we're going to brown our chopped meat. So I'm going to use my cast iron, get a little bit of olive oil in there, get the fire up on that. There we go. So get the garlic in the pan. So I had that cast iron hot, so it's kind of ready to go. Very loud. Okay, we add our chopped meat. Now we want to brown the chopped meat and make sure that you crumble it so that it will spread evenly over the nachos. Now what I said last time is we want to build our flavor, so always salt and pepper as you go. Okay, with a little sea salt, a little black pepper. Let that sizzle up. While that's going, we're going to do a cheese sauce that accompanies this dish. So, again, we have the ingredients. We're using milk, flour, salt, and cheddar and Monterey Jack cheese tonight, and some black pepper. So, what I'm doing is, in a separate pan, it says combine the milk, but I'm going to use butter. And I'm going to put butter in the pan. Now a little tip is we're going to make what's called a roux. That's a thickening agent. Equal parts butter, equal parts flour. So a quarter stick of butter and about 3 tablespoons of flour makes a very nice roux. It's a thickening agent. You can put it in soups, sauces. It really is good at thickening in a silky way. You don't get the grit from the flour so much. So we'll do that. Let's tend to that chopped meat. Browning that chopped meat up, got that flavor in there. Okay. And the butter is thickening. Unfortunately, I don't have an overhead camera in this kitchen. When they built this house in 1802, they didn't think we would be filming food, so I can't really show you so much. I'm going to reach over and show you some things, but it's not the best studio. So you can see that the chopped meat is browning, sizzling away. Let's get that going a little bit more. When that butter is just about melted through, we're going to stir in that flour and then put the milk in after it. So we're going to combine those ingredients. Let's let that mix down a little bit. Okay. Here we go. So the butter is melted, and now we're going to mix that flour right in. You see that? We're going to stir that in, and that's going to get a nice, it's going to be like a paste, very pasty. Pan is still hot. Put it back on the fire. You can cook the roux a little bit, adds a little more flavor. But what we'll do is we'll add the milk in. And just put 2 cups right in the sauce to make the sauce, 2 cups of milk. Okay, we got 2 cups of milk with that roux going. So, move that to the side. Really want to mix that roux in with that milk. Let that start up here. Chopped meat is browning. Almost there. Okay, so we're going to start building our nacho tray. We're going to bake these nachos in the oven. So we're going to put them in a pan, a sheet pan. If you don't have a sheet pan, a little catering half tray pan will work. Let's get the nachos first. Okay. Bring that back. Okay. On this pan, you can either use olive oil. I like to use a little food spray. just a canola oil-based spray. Whenever you use cheese or something that's messy, you put it on the bottom of the pan. It really helps. So now there's no strategy to this. You don't have to shingle it like the ratatouille. Just put them in. You like a lot, you put a lot. You like a little, you put a little. One layer should do. All right, there we go. All right. Again, these are plain, fried, lightly salted nacho chip. So this is the chip after it's been cooked already. So, all right, browning the chopped meat. We don't want to rush it. We want to make sure it is fully cooked. You want to stir this sauce. I got a couple things going at once. You don't have to do that. I just thought I'd put it together. The sauce is now thick. You see that? It's got a little bit of a thickness. Now, important. You want to take the sauce off the heat before you put the cheese in. If you put the cheese in while it is boiling, it will break. It will curdle, whatever word, it won't be good. So you want to put this cheese in afterwards and let it melt into the sauce off heat. So you want to stir it. There is enough heat in this sauce to melt it. Okay, so there we go. Very thick. That's a cheese sauce right there. You can add black pepper to this. I happen to like black pepper, so just a little twist. Black pepper and cheddar go nicely together. So we got that there. Keep that off the heat. It'll still stay hot, but don't put it back on the fire. Chopped meat is done. Very good. Thank you. So let's take this off the fire. We're going to drain this. Chopped meat is drained. All right, so now we're just going to tongue it over the nachos. Again, you can use ground chicken for this. Pork, pulled pork is a very popular item for nachos as well. Or don't put it on at all. We're going to do a beef nacho tonight, so this is what we're making. There we go. Now it's kind of all your toppings are ready. Black beans on top. Okay. That nacho sauce, the taco seasoning, I'm going to put it in on top. There we go. Very good. Okay, we got beans in there. There's corn. Okay. What else we got? Corn. All right, and now we're going to put our shredded cheese on top. It's going to be very, very cheesy. Okay, now we'll put this in the oven and let this go for about 5 to 7 minutes. Next thing we're going to do is make a pizza nacho. Very easy, easier than the other one. This is a vegetarian. It has all the makings of a pizza. Only going to do it with nachos. This was not invented in Mexico. So let's get our nachos. Line the bottom. All right. So let's good. Again, pick your sauce. Butera is for us only. And just drizzle it right on top. Now you don't want to put too much because it'll get a little too wet. So just enough. Okay, we take our mozzarella cheese on top of that. Let's go. There we go. Alrighty. I like to put a little olive oil on top of the cheese. Olive oil flavors nicely. And then something that's an important element, and I don't normally use it, it's dry oregano. It's very, very strong, very potent. I don't put it in any of my sauces. I'll use it only in this application of pizza. And I like to put it on top of the cheese, not in with the sauce, and not too much because it could get really, really powerful. That really just gives it a little bit of element of that pizza flavor, but very simple. Okay, so now we put this in. We'll let this bake for a little while. Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll wait for those things to cook and we'll serve them up. Let's pull out the nachos and finish topping them off. Classic. Okay, let's let the pizza nachos stay in just a little bit more while we do this. Now, this is almost ready, so we want to top with our cold ingredients, and again, you could use whatever you'd like. I have the tomato and the onion right here. The cilantro adds a little freshness and that distinct Mexican flavor. Looks very much like parsley, so be careful when you go and get it at the supermarket, you don't mistake it one for the other. And again, the pickled jalapenos, I just have these spicy banana peppers. And the color that's added to this dish afterwards, let me go bring this right up to you guys. The color is very important. You see the tomatoes are very vibrant, the green, the nachos, the beef, the cheese. It really brings it together. You can serve it on a platter like that. I didn't get my Romano cheese out, so I'm guilty of not having my ingredients all ready. So bad mark for me, but Romano cheese is essential in this dish. So let's pull those nachos out. See, they came out. And I like to sprinkle the Romano cheese on top. Okay, a little more olive oil on top, just a drop. And we could garnish with, I happen to be able to get some fresh thyme, and it looks a little nice on top of there. This is the cheese sauce. I neglected to put that on, but you want to drizzle that right on top. It's a very low-cal item, as you can probably see. But the cheese sauce comes out really well. See how easy it is? You don't need to buy a pre-packaged. It comes out really nice. There we go. Okay, that's an easy one, a fun one. I'm sure Tom Hanks' character would really have liked this instead of the caviar. But let's have a great time. Enjoy yourselves. Make a fun dish. Put in what you want. Leave stuff out that you don't want. Not a problem. Do it together. Enjoy the film. Back to you, Jacqueline.
Thanks, Chef Martin, for that terrific cooking lesson. I made the baked nachos, which smell and look terrific, and I can't wait to eat them, so let's get on with it. So tonight we're going to actually watch the film Big, starring Tom Hanks and directed by Penny Marshall. This was her second film that she directed, and was the first time that a female director achieved over $100 million in revenue at the box office. The film follows our main character, Josh Baskin, who's an adolescent growing up in New Jersey, who yearns to be big. He has a big crush on the cool girl at school, and she likes older men. So he's at a carnival and he sees this fortune-telling machine, Zoltar, and he goes up to Zoltar and he makes a wish to be big. Well, the next morning he wakes up and he's a 30-year-old Tom Hanks. What to do? So he and his best friend go to New York City, where they decide that Josh should hang out and try and figure out his life. And he ends up getting a job at a toy company. And he quickly ascends to an executive position because the CEO, played by Robert Loggia, detects in him an understanding of what kids like. Well, of course, he's a kid. It's just that the CEO doesn't know that. He has a romantic relationship played by Elizabeth Perkins. He has a jealous co-worker who's also the ex-boyfriend of Elizabeth Perkins, played by John Hurd, the father in Home Alone. And it's a wonderful film as we see Josh Baskin try to figure out what it's like to be an adult, yet still yearn to be a kid. The film is co-written by Gary Ross and Annie Spielberg, who, yes, is the sister of Steven Spielberg. So you'll watch it, and there's a wonderful scene in the film where Josh and his boss, played by Robert Loggia and Tom Hanks, are in the toy store FAO Schwartz, and they see this large piano, and they end up playing on the piano with their feet, heart and soul, and chopsticks. It's perhaps the most memorable scene in the film, and it's wonderful to see. So you'll enjoy that. So next week we're going to be watching the romantic comedy and highest grossing ever romantic comedy, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. In that film we follow the travails of Tula, a young Greek American woman who's trying to figure out her life romantically and professionally. So in that film she works for her family's Greek diner. And so next week we're going to make two dishes that are signature dishes in Greek diners, especially the first one, which is rice pudding, which, we all go to Greek diners and love to eat rice pudding. So we're going to learn how to make a fantastic rice pudding as well as Greek potatoes. So stay tuned next week for learning how to make those two great dishes. The other thing I want to mention is make sure and download our films from the various streaming services that are listed here, and also post to our social media channels your photos and your commentary about what you think of the recipes that you learn how to make or the films that you're watching. So on behalf of the entire team at Forks and Films, we want to wish all of you a safe and happy and healthy week. The best to you. And now I'm going to have some of my nachos. Delicious. Enjoy.